Now we will go to our audience for questions. Who's the first person? JD, can you get them a mic? And please just go ahead and give us your name, what part of town you're from, and please ask your question within 1 minute or less.
My name is Amber. I'm from South Boston, and my question is, reference to 2014 racial profiling report, officers report over 12% of Black Austinites and 7%. Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. My name is Amber. I'm from South Austin, and my question is, referencing the 2014 racial profiling reports, officers quote over 12% of Black Austinites and 7% of white Austinites, despite African Americans making up 6% of the population and whites making up 2%. Mayor Adler, what are your plans to correct the overpolicing of the African American community?
Thank you for that question. Your question is, what do we do about the numbers in this county that are disproportionate, the number of people that are stopped based on percentage of population? What do we do about those numbers? I think we begin by bringing attention to those numbers like we're doing in these meetings and having these conversations. It requires us to set real specific metrics for what we're trying to achieve. I think Mimi's right. When you set a real specific goal and people mobilize to address that goal, whatever goal it is that the community's setting, that's where people start spending their time, and that's where the resources go. The work that you did last year, where you identified 4 specific goals that you wanted to see community movement in, has resulted in community movement happening in those 4 areas. And I think we do the same thing here. You know, I have somebody in my office that's right now meeting regularly with the police chief and with the sheriff in this town, as well as members of the clergy from both the African American and the Hispanic communities, to talk about those kinds of approaches. And then I think it's setting specific objectives in the budget making process that we're doing, so we begin the rollout of cameras now that the technology appears to be here. I agree, it's being really specific about the goals that we set.
Thank you. Next individual.
My name is Lakeisha. I'm Mary Jackson's sister. I do not live in Austin. I live east of San Marcos, but I come to Austin on a regular basis to be an activist on behalf of my brother and my family. Being a victim of police violence in the city of Austin and dealing with the characteristics of what I call PTSD, police traumatized sister disorder, I want to ask Mayor Adler, what are you prepared to change within APD that can stop the senseless murders, such as my brother? I feel like the city of Austin has a better no-kill policy in place for animals than they do for humans.
So I think the question here goes back to the same question we've been having before, which is, how do we prioritize this challenge, this particular problem, this issue that we have in our community? And I think it's a question of focus. You know, this is a phenomenal town. There is many wonderful things that are happening in Austin community, and it's growing leaps and bounds. But what's good happening in this community is not shared. We're the #1 on lots of lists in this community, #1 economy in the country, but we're also the most geographically segregated community in the country. And we have large parts of this city that have never received the attention, the fairness, the equity that it should. I am really proud to be part of a council, I believe, that has come into this office and said, we're going to change those things. We're going to start putting attention where there has not been attention in the past. Again, that's why I urge everybody to come out on September 12th, because we're planting a flag in the ground in terms of priorities and where we want focus and where we want attention. And I think it's just a question of will.
Really quick, Councilmember Houston.
Yes, young sister, you made a point that I'm not sure everybody got. That we put more a priority on animals than we do on people's lives. And I don't think people heard you say that. So I want to repeat that so everybody heard your words. And I think one of the reasons is because the animal activists are down at City Hall all the time, and we're not there. We're not there to say, put the priority on the lives of people, be that poverty, the need for jobs, housing, all kinds of things that are the root cause of the unrest and lack of hope in our community. People coming back from the criminal justice system that can't get a job, can't get subsidized housing, can't get an education. So if we showed up and we had a call to action like they have a call to action, then we would get some attention.
Thank you, council members. Really quickly, we have Brian, Manley, Margo, Frasier.
Let me just say, I went on there's a thing called The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. And Jon Stewart did a thing about, in kind of the aftermath of Ferguson, about shooting of people and dogs. And it was kind of this typical of him, this kind of tongue-in-cheek sort of thing. But let me tell you what I do know, is that when police officers kill a dog, we get more calls in my office than when police kill a person. And that is a sad truth in this community. Okay? We need to care, we need to try, and this is just not the police department's problem. We need to figure out why it is in these sort of circumstances, how we found ourselves in this situation. We need to give our officers the tools so that they can make better decisions, and we need to give our young people options so that we lessen the likelihood that they're going to have confrontation with police. Now that's not, please don't take that as a message that it's the victim's fault. That's not what I'm saying at all. But we need to address all the issues. We cannot expect that it's going to be solved only at the police. It really does go back to the socioeconomic part and the education system.
Thank you. Brian, really quickly.
I will make it quick, just to make sure this is a part of the discussion as well, and I will preface this that this is not trying to justify anything. We take each and every shooting very seriously, but as we engage in this discussion back and forth, I just want to put a few of the data points out there. Mimi, you mentioned earlier how data is important, and we absolutely agree. Capture data points across every metric, and we actually do put many of our reports online. We do have a response to resistance report that does capture the information you were talking about earlier about subjects' injuries and all of that. We do track that, we do release that. But as we talk about fatal encounters with the police officers, just to give you a few of the metrics, in the years 2000 to 2014, in that 14-year period, the Austin Police Department had 79 shootings. U.S. cities of the same size, which is 500,000 to 1 million, all of those cities, the average was 151. And again, we had 79. Houston had 657, Dallas had 254, and San Antonio had 163. Again, they're much larger cities. But for cities our comparable size, there were 151, we were 79. And then just to put it in perspective, as per 100,000 residents, our rate is 9.2 fatal shootings per 100,000 residents during that period of time. 21 per 100,000 is the average for cities our size across the country. So again, I've mentioned it earlier, I will mention it again, we are not perfect by any means, but I do think if we're going to engage in this discussion, let's make sure that we're all operating off of the same data set, and that's what our research has shown us, and that's how we stand up our incidents here compared to cities similar size across the country.
Vincent,
Thank you.
please, real quick.
30 seconds or less. We have to get to the audience.
Yeah, I've been very polite, believe me. I want to say this about the law. I mentioned earlier the 14th Amendment, which is equal protection law. The truth is, the law is not being enforced equally to black people. That's a city council issue, not your issue, it's a city council issue. It's a DA issue all over this country. Until politicians enforce law for black folks, as stated in the 14th Amendment, we're gonna have the same conversation. The laws are not being enforced, and that's the problem.
Thank you, Nelson. Next audience member.
Good evening, my name is Viola Canada. I lived in Austin for 35 years and I was on Access Television for a little while. But however, I need to know what's really going on. I've been up since 5:30 this morning. I drive Uber. And I tell you, when I'm on the street, I feel like I'm tracked. I feel like I'm harassed by police. I don't know what kind of system they're using, but I can drive down the street. There's a police car in front of me. I can drive around the block. There's a different police car. I can go down another street, and there's another, and there's too many police cars when I'm driving at one time. I feel like a suspect under some kind of witch hunt. You know, and I know racism when I can feel it. It's a funny feeling. I said, you know, they're not stopping me because I'm not breaking the law, I'm not doing anything. But I'm out here dealing with these drunk students that get in my car, reeking of alcohol, talking crazy, cursing, using all kind of bad language. I'm helping them to get home, and when they get in my car, they say, I'm so glad you picked me up, I'm so drunk. You know what I'm saying? To keep them from getting in a wreck, kind of helping the police. But here's the I got to deal with the police all the time. They're there, look like they're just harassing me for some reason, following me. I don't understand it. What's going on? I don't understand how I'm standing up here free because my father fought in World War II actively and then went straight into the Korean conflict. And all this racism in this country against African Americans. And I know it's other black men who fought for this country too. What is really going on? What did I do so wrong? I can't change my color. I was born this way. And other black people can't change their color either. They're just being profiled for no reason. I'm tired of it. And I want y'all to know, I've been up ever since 5:30 this morning. I'm tired, and I'm going back to work. But I don't understand what the racism is about.
Thank you.
And I want him to stop. I wanted to talk to Mark. I wanted to talk to Asst. He got on, he said there's too many fatalities. Well, I'm trying to prevent that. You know, those young kids get in my car and say, we're going to still drive drunk.
All right, thank you.
Here you go.
Can we have, on that, can we just have one person respond really quickly, and then we're going to go to the audience for more questions? Really quickly, Mimi?
Yeah, definitely. So I think what we're seeing here is this climate coming to a head. And at this point, we're fed up, right? Yeah, so there's no real solution to that other than my main point would be to activate that community policing and really advocate for adding those 400 or so community police officers on foot inside of the neighborhoods, at the schools. I remember when I was a kid, I won the DARE program, right? Like I wrote an essay and I won, okay? So, but with that said, I had police around me all the time. We had games, you know, soccer games against the police. You know, we had the police there in our churches, in our schools. So that community policing, that's a huge aspect in trying to find a little bit of resolution here.
All right, thank you.